Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Ball Gamer. So I'm sorry I missed last week's upload. It's just things happen and they get in the way. But we're back again for doing this like Frostgrave tunnel, which is probably actually going to be used more for Ghost Archipelago because I'm really getting into that game. And yeah, I'm at the moment I'm probably going to say I enjoy it more than Frostgrave. So this is going to be sort of a generic utilitarian piece that I can use on whatever games I'm playing. So at this stage we've got all the browns down from last time to give us a nice coat to work from. So we're going to use a very dark grey. It's almost a black, but it's not quite. And this is our darkest colour for the stonework. So I'm going to pick out all of these like paving stones that we had carved in. And I'm also going to go around anything that I think should be a stone or a dark colour. So like in here, I'm going to give it the look of some sort of depth. So there's some sort of shadow darkness inside the sewer entrance, because obviously you're looking into the depth of the sewer. So this is also going to be our base coat for our stairs that are going up the side of the build. And it's just quickly laying down this colour. Try not to get it onto the brown because I'm not 100% sure yet where I want to do the stone natural like rock colouring scheme. So when it comes to doing where you think the rock might be, just use your use logic. The stone is obviously going to be holding up this tunnel, and if we coloured the lower part of the tunnel brown, like a mud colour, it would just collapse when there was a deluge of rain or whatever. So I'm thinking all of this is cut into the natural bedrock. So we're going to colour all the sides of this structure, this dark grey, because I think that looks like it. The stone is showing through and the mud has been washed away from these parts. I don't see logically how it would be brown, really. Not in Frostgrave or Ghost Archipelago anyway. So after that we're going to come in with a lighter grey, and we're going to just dry brush all over it to bring out some of the texture and some of the highlights. Now you can't really see what I'm doing, I don't think here. Oh yeah, you can start to see it. Any points where you put too much on or it's blotted or blobbed, just use your finger to blend it in, and actually it works pretty well. So this is just a dry brush, just flicking over all the rock textures to bring out all the highlights and detail. Now I've hit the stairs, doesn't really matter because I'm going to be doing the stairs anyway, but I don't really want any blobs of this lighter colour because that would look rather strange. So as you can see, it's a quick movement and you just flick over. Next I got this sort of fawn colour, or a very, very light brown, and I'm using this makeup brush to gently go over all the rocks and the mud to tie in the whole piece so that it looks more not uniformed, yeah, more uniform, so that it sort of blends in much better. It's a good idea when you're doing the pieces to do like a final highlight in the same colour over all of the things, like a dusting, and it shows that these things have lived together, that they're not completely alien to one another. So that's what it looks like at this point. And now comes the time for flocking. Now this is the point where I think, should I just leave it as mud, because it looks pretty decent as mud. But flocking is always a good way to go, even if you're questioning, it looks good, you may as well do the flocking because it will look probably better by the point you've finished. So I've watered down my PVA glue and I just lay it around liberally. I know that this glue is going to dry clear, so I don't worry if I spread it somewhere where I might not decide to put flock. Try not to get it on the plasticky, like 3D printed stuff that you might have, because it will show through as a shine, and you might not want that. Although you might want to use that as a actual technique later on. So when laying down the watered down PVA, just spread it out and do it. Leave a small overlap, so don't go over right to the end of your glue area when you're spreading the flock. Otherwise, you'll have to go through your flock to put the next segment or area of PVA glue down. I hope that kind of makes sense. So yeah, I just sprinkle it on. I'm not really taking much effort or skill to do that. Now I'm going to put a few little bits sort of inside the sewer or leading out of the sewer to sort of represent sort of algae growth, etc. Especially if I'm going to be using this for Ghost Archipelago. I think, the more greenery, the better, really. So I've got this green wash, which I just gonna green up the stones a bit, make it look a little bit more algae-like. I don't know if I actually see this when I've finished, but I did it, and maybe I would need a stronger tone, a green tone, to show up a bit better. But it never hurts to add a little bit extra. And if it doesn't show up, it doesn't show up. It hasn't ruined it, so that's a plus. So now that we've done that, we're going to seal down the grass. Now you could use a spray bottle, but again you'll get it all over the pieces that you maybe don't want to get it on. A dropper would be really good, but I haven't got a dropper at the moment, or at least not to hand, so I'm just going to dab on a wet, watered down PVA mix. And the idea is I just dab it, and I don't go over the same spot more than once, because if you do, you're going to drag off all of the flocking and ruin your work. Now this is quite a watery PVA mix that I've put on, and I'm just dabbing it on very heavily. Now the idea, I'm thinking, if I dab it on quite heavily, the flock might wash off the peaks of the terrain and wash down into the grooves. So some of that work that we did highlighting the mud earlier on might or should show through a little bit, because I don't want this to be a very thick grass on top here. I want it to show through some of the work that we had done on the earth underneath. So I do quite a watery, quite a as you can see that it's beading up a little bit, some of the flocking, etc. And you can see how I've mix it. There is no technique to mixing up ratios of water and PVA. Just do it, and it's going to be rock hard once it's done. So I go around afterwards with a paper towel, just sopping up any of the overspill of the PVA water mix, because I don't want everything looking really shiny and weird. And then I go over to actually add a bit of that shininess from the PVA mix around the entrance, etc. And hopefully it will show through as a bit of a glimmer, a bit of a shine, a bit of a slimy look. So these are the finished pictures of what it looks like, and I think it came out really well. It's going to fit in with my games, and yeah, for the work I put into it, I think it's probably one of my better terrain pieces, and I'm really going to enjoy playing this. Actually, at the time of recording the voiceover, we have used it in one of my games, and the player really enjoyed playing on this. So yeah, thumbs up for that one. I think it turned out really well. And of course, with Frostgrave sort of looming in my gaming games coming up, I have to take some pictures of a Frostgrave crew venturing into the sewers to find out what those strange noises are. So if you've liked this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, etc. But for now, goodbye from Welsh Miniature Board Gamer.